Hi there, folks. My name is Lauren Taggart. I am Global Head of Key Accounts here in ThinScale Technology. Today I have joining us from Working Solutions, the wonderful Billy West. Billy, lovely to see you again. How are things?
Great, Lauren. Nice to be with you again.
Thanks, Billy. Billy, can you maybe start by giving us a brief description of Working Solutions and your role within it?
Sure. Working Solutions is an on-demand BPO. We provide pros, we call them professionals, not agents. A lot of people call them agents. We go with pros. We provide pros to our customers. We're technology agnostic, which means if a client wants us to use their platform, we're more than happy to utilize their platform. If they need a platform, we have partners that we utilize to give them something they can use. My role within the company is I ensure the compliance, security, integrity of our operations. I'm over all the technical teams that deal with the clients and their IT teams. I'm also over the network infrastructure people that run our Azure and everything on that. So I ensure everything runs smooth to smooth from the day we sign them to the day I leave. How's that?
Very good. As the Vice President of I.T, what are some of the critical areas that you're focusing on to deliver strategic business outcomes?
Oh, well, with COVID and lately, it's been endpoint security. How can we ensure their data is secure? How do we make sure that that endpoint is secure? And our partnership with you actually has helped us a great deal in that. So verifying security, verifying the operation is smooth, verifying there's procedures in place to make it a success. That's what we do.
Wonderful to hear. Thank you. Working Solutions have been offering remote work since its inception. How has Working Solutions sustained a BYOD and remote working program over this time?
Well, we started that way. Kim started the company, I don't know, what is it, 27, 28 years ago, somewhere around there. I've been here, I've been here 19 years in another month or so. So I've been here a while myself. But we've always been BYOD, always been remote.
Yeah.
Some of the competitors that we're facing now, they're switching from a brick and mortar mindset. So it's a little bit harder for them because they have to change their mindset. It just doesn't run the same as a brick and mortar. We've always used vetted agents. We've always used hardened infrastructure. We make sure the data is secure. Our infrastructure, we believe in secure, straightforward customer service. That's what we provide our clients, and that's what they like.
Very good. What drove Working Solutions' initial decision to roll out a BYOD program, particularly in the United States? And what challenges were you guys looking to solve? And what are you looking to achieve in the future of this?
Well, we've always been virtual on demand and onshore. When Kim started, she was doing some work where she was looking for people to assist, and she noticed that there was a very good niche back in that day about people wanting to work from home. There was a large base of people and talent out there that could be recruited. And so she said, well, this could be a business. So she kind of went that way. Tim joined her. Tim came from a BPO background, and they just rolled that initial, let's recruit people for projects into, this is a viable business of providing remote agents for a client base at home. It's always been onshore because we were looking to provide an onshore experience for the clients that wanted high-end, high-touch environment. That's why she started it that way so many years ago.
Awesome.
Plus, you got to mention the flexibility and the scale-up possibilities, right? Because being where we can flex very fast, we can go up and down, we can change if the agent needs or the clients need us to do something in a week, we can ramp up and down to meet their demands.
Awesome. You answered my next question already, Billy, so it's awesome.
Which one was that?
The ability to deploy, speed, influence.
Yeah, I mean, that's something that we pride ourselves on. As an example, over the holidays, I think everybody knows there was quite a bit of airline problems.
Sure.
And some respected airline businesses had a lot of cases that need to be worked. And one of them approached us on New Year's Day. And within 3 working days, we had over 1,000 pros on their systems answering cases. We answered over 250,000 cases and closed them for them within 5 business days. So that's part of what we can do. We have the database of agents that have contacted us. We have our steady state where they're working, but we also have that flux that if we need to ramp up, we reach out to these people and say we need some help. They jump in and we can do demands like that. We were very successful. The airline was very happy that we were able to help them with that because they couldn't have met those numbers without our assistance.
Absolutely, that's wonderful to hear. How did ThinScale play a part in that, Billy?
Well, ThinScale, obviously, apart from the security you provide us, it also provides us with the ability that we can get the image, so to speak, ready so that when we roll it out to the pros, agents, they load it, they launch, all their systems there ready to go. We don't have to work with each one to load this on their desktop. It's all there ready to go. Makes it very easy to roll out. That's why we like ThinScale so much.
That's why we like Working Solutions so
that
much.
And security.
Awesome.
Security, you know, the last few years have been security, and it's just getting worse. Hackers are not letting up out there. So
absolutely, great to hear. Working Solutions has been an exceptional, repeatable, remote hiring and onboarding in terms of the processes. Can you paint a picture of how you guys use BYOD to ramp up, ramp down at speed in the US?
That's a good question. Well, since we use BYOD and we use ThinScale's validation tool, as we're onboarding people, we use the validation tool to ensure that their equipment meets our specs, right? But in being able to do that, we don't have to ship equipment. We don't have to control equipment. We hired people that and give them specifications of what they need to bring. We verify that what they have. Thus, we can bring a program up much quicker because we don't have to go through the logistics of getting equipment to people. It's using whatever they have. Now, we do put ThinScale on top of that, obviously, so that we can control it and put the applications there that we want.
Very good. You mentioned there the ThinScale validation tool, Billy. How has that impacted your hiring and pre-production process?
Oh, it's been a tremendous assistance because now as we're onboarding, we can have them run the validation tool. And people that don't know, the validation tool runs the specs on the PC, tells us what their CPU is, how much memory they have, what OS they're running, are all their antivirus in place, do they have 2 monitors, are they running on wireless, all that good stuff. It gives us a good readout of what that person's working on so that we can then validate that they have what we need for this program. If it doesn't, we can make recommendations what they need to go do until they can meet those processes.
Very good. In terms of finding the right pros or agents for those that are more familiar with that term, what impact do you find that a detailed job description has on the hiring quality of your candidates?
Oh, it helps a great deal because if you're giving them a detailed job, they know what they're getting into. They know what they have to come. I mean, we have a network of 150,000 onshore people that we draw from. It's a very deep talent pool. Not that we're using all of them, we're all working any time, but we do have that many in our database that we can reach out to when we have a need for people. So giving them specifics of what they have to come work on a program obviously helps you start faster, because if they have what they need and they know what they need to do, they come in, they get accepted, they go through the validation, we tech on board them, we load ThinScale, then they go into education, and we have a very unique education program where everybody's trained remote, obviously, and they can start right away and start adjusting and getting ready for the program.
That's wonderful.
Hope that answers your question.
It absolutely does. And it's wonderful to hear that you guys have such a big pool of candidates that you can rely on as well, particularly during those ramp periods for your clients as well.
Helps a great deal. Like I say, to get 1,000 pros on the phone in 3 days is quite an accomplishment. Something that we have done more than one time, by the way, not just this past year. So.
Billy, you mentioned earlier on in our conversation the evident importance of security. Working Solutions has created somewhat of a culture of security, if it's fair to say. How has ThinScale helped you maintain your security goals for your at-home programs? And is there anything about ThinScale's implementation or results that positively surprised you?
Well, what surprised me is the speed that we became familiar with the product, because early on we loaded the product on our own servers, we brought everything up, and we started programming, so to speak, on our own. Now, we did ask you all for a lot of help, and we've learned a lot on the way, but really the ease of use and the ease of maintaining it,
Yep.
it's very easy. How's that? It does not take a lot of man hours to keep it going. The other thing is it is a great application for the endpoints in our environment, especially work at home, because it ensures the security, right? You can't
Yep.
get to your local PC. You can't use an AEP. You can't run an application unless we allow you to use it. You can't come on if you don't have enough memory. You can't come on if your CPU is not strong. You can't come on if your bandwidth's not sufficient to support the program. So ThinScale assists us in keeping the programs running clean. And then with the new device analytics, I'll throw that a plug in there for you. With the device analytics that's out there, it also, as they're working, now we can look at their jitter, we can look at their pings, we can see if they're having latency in the network. So it helps us control and troubleshoot if there do happen to be issues. So it just helps maintain the pro network, the agent network, so that we can assist them if they're having issues. And it keeps everything very secure. One of the best security programs I've found out there. Other than a VDI, but still a VDI, unless you add other things to it, it's still not completely secure because you can flip from window to window. Secure remote worker, you program all this right, they can't get to their hard PC at all. There's no way for them to take any data or copy any data. So that's why we like ThinScale. It's the ease of use. It assists us in maintaining the network and make sure everything's working right, and it helps us in troubleshooting agent issues.
Delighted to hear that. Thank you so much, Billy.
Yeah, I mean, and another thing, it helps us in our PCI DSS. We are PCI level 1 secure, and having ThinScale as part of that assists us in vetting and proving that we are PCI, because we have to control, it's transmission and storage of data. With ThinScale, we can ensure that. So
awesome, thank you. What is the process that Working Solutions goes through to get sign off from your customers for work at home deployment programs?
Well, every client's different, but normally every client we meet with, part of the process, they meet with operations, they meet with education, obviously sales in there first, but
yeah,
the last few years, IT sec has been a big proof. You have to meet with IT security. You have to vet what applications they're going to use. How are we going to access those systems, and how are we going to lock down the data? And using ThinScale, we demo to the clients that we can truly lock down the system so that they cannot store any data, they can't print any data, they can't copy it to a USB. We offer ThinScale, the executable to them to load on their PC, so if they want to go into the systems, they can actually test it and prove that they can't store any data, they can't access. There's not a set process because every client's different and you work with their IT sec teams, but it involves many, many meetings. Oscar and I meet with them. We go through the project. We roll out what we're going to do. We roll out what we're trying to prevent. And it's just a meet, discuss, lay out a project, and show them the proof. It's showing them the proof. It's not just telling them or sending them a piece of paper. We actually demo the product and what it can and can't do, and like I say, offer it to them to look at themselves.
Awesome, thank you. What advice would you give to an organization considering work at home, and would you recommend other BPOs in the United States to consider work at home?
No, you just stay away from our business. How's that? No, if they want to go through the process of becoming a work at home, there's a lot to be vetted. It's not just who's going to work at home. Is it going to be an employee model? Is it going to be a contractor model? How are you going to supply them equipment? You're going to be BYOD. How are you going to educate these people? What are the operational process? How do you manage these people every day? There's a lot to work at home. Since we started it 27 years ago that way, we've learned and fine-tuned it all the way along the way. I would just say if a new company's wanting to get into it, I'd consider ThinScale for security. How's that? And vet your processes, because there's going to be some bumps in the road and the learning process of what it really takes to be remote. It's not as easy as you think. There's a lot of processes that have to be in place to support it.
Absolutely, absolutely. Would you recommend partnering with us at ThinScale to another BPO? Or
you betcha. I would absolutely recommend ThinScale. I've looked at a lot of products. I'm looking at passwordless MFAs. I'm looking at VDIs. And I consider all things. I consider price. I consider functionality. And some of them can work together. I mean, you can use ThinScale obviously with a VDI.
Sure.
It just depends on the client. But we think that if you take ThinScale and all the advancements y'all have made in the last 2 years we've been using you,
Yeah.
you don't need a VDI. You can program ThinScale to do pretty much anything you need it to do. Y'all have come a long way, and with the roadmap that's ahead, it's just going to blossom and be a much better product.
Absolutely, Billy. I couldn't agree more. May I say that it's wonderful to have such a wonderful partnership as well with you guys in Working Solutions. You're such an amazing customer, and very much appreciate you, your team, and the business that you give us. Thank you very much for your time today, Billy. Really appreciate it as always, and look forward to the future.
We look forward to the future because, like I say, your team's great. No, it's always responsive. We have a request for something that's not working. Pep and the team will gladly look at it and see if they can work it into a future release or something they can do immediately. Great team, great responsiveness, great product.
Awesome. Thank you so much, Billy. Take care.
Yes, ma'am. Take care.